I'm Addie and I'm 14. I'm a freshman in high school, and I was wondering, as someone who has like a different opinion on college, what would you say the pros and cons are? Because I'm interested in political journalism, and what would your advice be?
I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree.
The Charlie Kirk of Turning Point telling a seminar on women's leadership that their goal of college should be to get an MRS degree, which means MRS as in Mrs., as in go to college to get married. And I'm going to talk more about why someone piggish like Charlie Kirk would believe such a thing about women. And it has to do with sort of my new Sacred Rebellion series I'm working on that many of you may know. I started this whole thing right before COVID. And it was a critique of the evangelical church, because even though sort of spiritually I had been told differently, I believed being one of their own, evangelicals could hear the hypocrisy in their support of right-wing politics and marrying their religion to politics altogether. But like Ezekiel, a prophet in Hebrew scripture, was told, I'm going to send you to your people and they won't be able to hear you. If I sent you to a foreign people of a foreign language, they would listen, but your own, they won't. And I've sort of been in that space. And it was New Year's Day this year, I just felt the declaration from inside say, I'm done. And my motto of 2025 now to Christians is, I'm not trying to convert you, Christians. I'm trying to tell people they don't have to be you. And so we're breaking down some of the foundational things of that. And some of that is our need to detox from masculinity. That when I was growing up, this idea of don't run like a girl, don't throw like a girl, and don't cry like a girl. You know, when you think about masculine characteristics, or your father telling you, be a man, you know, what were those characteristics? Strong, provider, protector. And then what are feminine characteristics? Sweet, soft, pretty. And we were told, like, though there's a complete demarcation between the two in two different types of biological bodies, but that's never been true through all of history. That is a very Western construct. And the truth is, all of us have masculine or attributes we call masculine and attributes we call feminine. Not that they're necessarily married to a biology. We've had all those in us our whole life. And when bio males are told again and again and again, stuff your feelings, don't even think about crying, or don't come crying to me, boy, be a man, be John Wayne. Well, you know what? John Wayne was a character on a movie screen. His real name was Marion. And it's just so poignant to me that telling a human being, don't feel your feelings, is a catastrophically bad thing to do. And in Christianity, when now we've made this, one man, one woman, there's only two genders, all these things, then the pressure is really on to the biological males to live up to this John Wayne standard. And I think so many of us, if not all of us, feel somewhat inadequate of that. And so what that fosters inside a biological male in their life is a frustration that they can never quite add up to what their dad or the society or their religion told them they should be. And so it creates a frustration that then we see manifest itself in this need for ways to prove one's manliness. I'm an alpha male, right off the bat. If somebody feels the need to tell you they're an alpha male, they're not an alpha male. An alpha male doesn't need to proclaim their status on the manly scale. We know an alpha male because we see them standing with people that maybe aren't quite in the same physical or sociological or socioeconomic position that they are. That's what an alpha male is, if there is such a thing. So they need to prove it. They need to find a woman and make her their woman and show the world like I captured, I conquered, I got this woman and I'm her protector and she's in submission to me as her husband and leader of the household. That's one way. And then there's overcompensation. You know, the guy that's always trying to pick a fight or gets a car that goes fast so they can show how big they are, or buys a Tesla pickup thing that I just laugh every time I see any guy driving those. All of those are ways biological males can overcompensate to try to say, look at me, I'm so manly. And for me, that it played out this religious societal mix of my life that I learned very quickly that what I felt inside as a young person who cried easily, who felt love for people, who felt emotions, like I had to put that away and mask it. And ultimately, for me, mixed with trauma of childhood, it resulted in this dissociative identity trauma that isn't the story of my life, but was the stealer and prohibitor of me living. And now I'm learning the beauty of how DID saved me, and that my story that was stolen by bad childhood theology, bad childhood dynamics, trauma, can now be brought to the front and of this body and be the person we were supposed to be. But one of the ways men overcompensate, well, the ultimate extension of overcompensation is then the things that are toxic of masculinity in our society, the violence against women, sexual violence against women, and all the way down to sort of the patriarchy, misogynistic, you don't quite matter as much women, but I'm going to couch it in like I'm your protector and I find you attractive and that makes you worthwhile in culture. And one of the big outgrowths of this is in right-wing political circles and people like Charlie Kirk of Turning Point USA telling women like, you don't need a job, pretty girl. Just get married and do what life really matters about. Check out this clip.
Let me also speak to some of the young ladies here in high school where your top, who's here where your top priority is get married and have kids? Raise your hand. Okay.
So this is a conservative women leadership conference. And most of the women you see in the picture raise their hand that getting married is their top priority. We're really teaching leadership from a bad angle. Not that I'm saying it's bad to want to get married and have children, but telling a young woman your leadership capability is having children and you can teach males all the way up until they're 13 and then you have no right, as many religions and certainly Christianity in many of its sectarian beliefs does, then you're not teaching leadership. You're teaching them to be submissive and followers. And again, getting married and working at home is a wonderful and important thing. And I don't disparage that. But acting like that is the only way a woman can have value is a completely regressive and harmful teaching to women. So let's continue on with Charlie here.
Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. And no, seriously. And just be clear, that's why you're going to college, right? Don't lie to yourself. I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here. And that's okay, actually. And that's a really good reason to go to college, actually, especially an SEC school. Like you will find a husband.
Why an SEC school, you wonder, as I stop the video. Yeah, of course, Southern men really know how to live good Christian values, right, Charlie? Yeah, so get yourself an SEC guy with a little bit of a twang and a pickup so that you can have a real man, girls.
If you have the intent to find a husband at Ole Miss, like it's just going to happen, okay? Or wherever. Yeah, there you go, see? Or at University of Alabama. But there you go.
I mean, it's it's tragically heartbreaking for me to see those young women being told, be a wife. That's really why you're on this earth. And that is not universally true. That is a need of a male like Charlie Kirk feeling like he doesn't meet the John Wayne expectation of society, saying, here's a way I can prove my manliness is by getting me a woman and having her produce some of those farm workers for me, you know, or whatever, wherever that mentality came from. And the thing is, every bio male is a human being, and every human being has moments of being anxious, of grieving, of desiring connections. It's why we have sort of these slightly homoerotic men's trips together, because men do need intimate connection, and they can't really get it from a spouse because she is a subservient being and he needs someone of equal value. And so they go to Vegas to strip clubs and gamble and watch UFC fights to really feel that testosterone rather than being present to what is really inside me. Now, this has been something I've had to learn and fight to learn, that the parts of me that would be described as feminine, and with DID, I literally have emotional parts that present as female. And it took a long time for me to realize having feminine attributes isn't a sin. It doesn't make me demonic, which I was told by my own father at times. Certainly not sending me to hell. And it's me, and it's not cowardly or because I'm a second-class citizen. It's actually the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I would say the most fucking brave thing I've ever done in my life. And so, even though I struggle to believe it of myself, my one word I'm using to describe myself today is brave. And I think that might, yeah, it's good on the screen. Brave, because it takes courage to stand up against the status quo of society and say, I'm going to be the person I was meant to be at birth that was stolen by trauma and was told, oh, you can't be that person because you have certain genitals or some other crazy biblical, in air quotes, factor. And I want to tell all the bio males out there that nothing in the universe or heaven demanded that you be less human in order to be holy. What's one word that you would to describe yourself today? Is being a man what really matters, or is being yourself? Do me a favor, if you enjoyed this, follow my channel, hit that notification bell to know when I'm coming on, share it with somebody else, and we'll have these unconventional conversations on an ongoing basis.